from Nigger Jim's perspective. It's called The Adventures of Nigger Jim. That's how the book starts. Huckleberry Finn walks up to him and goes, "So you're Nigger Jim?" And he's like, "Yo, I just said Jim." "What's your name, little buddy?" "Huckleberry Finn's my name." "What? Huckleberry? That's your real name?" "God-given." "You know what? Just call me Nigger Jim. It's fine." I don't care if you are black or white or whatever. If you ever meet a white person named Huckleberry, he has less money than you. That is the white, trashiest name I've ever heard in my fucking life. If you have a name like Huckleberry, you're doomed to fail. If I was in court and my lawyer came up and was like, "I am your attorney, Huckleberry Finn," I'd be like, "Uh-oh, I'm going to jail." God forbid I ever go to jail. But if I do, I hope it's in California. Because as soon as the judge sentenced me, I'll be like, "Your Honor, before you sentenced me, I just went to court to know I identify as a woman. Send me to women's jail." And as soon as I get in there, you know what I'm gonna be doing? "Give me a fruit cocktail, bitch, before I knock your motherfucking teeth out. I'm a girl just like you, bitch. Come over here and suck this girl dick I got. Don't make me explain myself. I'm a girl." They call me lazy because I'll do shows sometimes. 20,000 people be in the crowd. And I'll tell a joke, and they'll all look at me like I'm crazy. But 3 or 4 people will laugh really hard. And I'll be on stage like, "Yeah, that's good enough." Well, this next joke is one of those jokes that it's not, you know what I mean? I like to tell it, but it never does good. But I'm gonna do it. You know why it doesn't do good? I'm not good at impressions, but this is an impression. You ready? Okay. This is not gonna work. All right, this is my impression. It's my impression of the dead people on the Titanic. You didn't let me finish. This is my impression of the dead people on the Titanic as the submersible was approaching their ship. That's good enough. All right, here it goes. I'm gonna do it. Okay, here it goes. Join us in our watery grave. Oh, buddy, that's funny to me. Listen, that is a funny way to die. 20 years from now, on my 70th birthday, I'm gonna take a submersible to see the submersible. Hopefully by then it should work. Up with sunshine. I was shining on everybody. And when I got in that professional world, I was oddly prepared. I had a sense of professionalism. I showed up on time. I did the things that I learned in school to do, just the basics. But my career didn't have any direction because I was still so young. And that didn't change for many years. Didn't change until my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, told me she was pregnant. And I was like, you know what? I should really start taking this seriously. When she told me that, before the baby was born, I had done my first HBO special, and then I went to work on a sketch comedy show idea I had, and Chappelle show came out. When my son was still maybe 18 months, he was years old. And I bet on myself. I took less money. I remember that, so I could do what I wanted to do. I said, you don't have to pay me that much, but you can't ever tell me that I can't do what I want to do. I did the first season, I'll tell you, for $300,000. Which sounds like a lot of money, but. It was a rare experience in my life because it was the first time that I did something that was so successful that I knew I had exceeded the expectations. I was more successful than I felt like I was supposed to be. They didn't plan on that. The second season came out and was a juggernaut, and then I remember this was the single best day of my career. The Rick James episode of Chappelle Show had come out. People were going crazy about the Rick James episode. At the same time, the DVD for season 1 of Chappelle Show dropped. It was the first time any television show had ever been sold off air, and it sold 1 million copies in the first day. It was unheard of. To this day, nothing has sold more than Chappelle Show. It's still on the top 10 in Netflix. All those great things happened, and my contract was up. Clearly, I was about to be rich. I'll spare you all the details of why it didn't work out. It's a media storm that I didn't hear. By the time I got back, everyone was just looking at me crazy. That was a very difficult decision to make. The entire world told me I was crazy, but I was sure I was being true to myself and to something that I learned at Ellington. I'm one of those comedians that thought of himself as an artist. I was enamored by what the genre could do. It was like the pictures that I could paint, the words, and the way I could engage with the audience. I understood as it was happening. I was very lucky to be able to do this. That I protected it. That I knew that if I took the money, they would expect me to behave differently. And I wasn't willing to accept that. So I quit. And when I quit, it was a very difficult time in my life. And I'll spare you the details, but man, fuck show business and stuff. And then one day I was in Panama City, Panama, and I was at a hotel, and I looked at the lobby. There was a painting of Abraham Lincoln. I looked closely, it wasn't a painting, it was all pennies, just pennies, on a black canvas, arranged into the face of Abraham Lincoln. And I asked the guy, I said, how much is that painting worth? He said, $600,000, sir. And I looked at the pennies that made up the painting, and I was like, it's like $300 worth of pennies. Light bulb went in my head. I realized the value of art. Some of the biggest wars and crimes and scandals in history were financed. The theft of art. Art is a powerful commodity. And artists, if you're good at it, should never behave as a commodity. It's a tough one. And then I gave up. I said, oh, this is probably it. I accepted the fact that the career I thought I was gonna have was over, but I started to rediscover just my art for its own sake. I would go to comedy clubs, and I worked for way less money than I ever had, and I enjoyed it more than any of the work I ever did. It was probably the best work I'll ever do. It was so honest, so sincere. There was no media, there was no studio, there was no screen, just me and the crowds. And I did it night after night, and slowly but surely the crowds got bigger and bigger. And then suddenly people started to notice. People started to say, Dave Chappelle has the tour of the year. And again, and the year after that, and then the year after that. And then, Lorne Michaels asked me to do Saturday Night Live. And it wasn't just like he asked me. He was courting me, I didn't even know it. He gave me this whole long speech. It was like, all right, And I read some book about Lorne Michaels starting Saturday Night Live, and I read the speech that he gave Richard Pryor when he wanted him to host the show, and I said, holy shit, that's the same shit he said to me. And I did it. That was an enormous amount of pressure. It had been 12 years since I'd been on television, since I'd even talked to the media. And I remember I signed my Netflix contract on my way to my mark for the monologue. If you do live television, they count down every second, 30 seconds. Are you sure this contract is good? It's good, just 22 seconds. Oh, nigga, you better not be tricking me. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I walked out on that stage and I stood. It was natural. It was nothing. So I met me for that one too. First Emmy I won. And when I walked on the stage, after being in the cold for so long, for the first time when I walked on the stage, and I told me I appreciate my teachers more and more. But to tell you the truth, I appreciate the head. Teacher salaries, not necessarily what it should be. And when I think about that, juxtaposed to the dedication that the teachers, the time they would spend, the way they would notice, are you okay? Look, all right, you're sad. Yeah. Any little thing, like a family member would. And they fall to the environment of almost absolute trust, like their parents. There's 2 lectures that I got at school that changed the way I become, that turned the light switch on. These 2 teachers, Donald Lease. Donald Lease, may he rest in peace. Maybe one of the single best educators that I've ever met in my life. He had a demeanor about himself that demanded excellence from his students. He would tell us incredible stories that I didn't believe. Claim in one class, Song Kingdom Softly was about him. I was like, nah, nigga, not you. He told me he knew I'd be halfway and a bird flag and all these people, these BC rednecks. He's a humble man. He really demanded excellence. He gave a lecture once on a concept called polar vague. Oh, that's a little shy here, this. Everybody will do the same thing at the same time. Their rational mind will decrease and their emotional response will increase. He said, that's how audiences work. That's how models work. That's how you make a person lose themselves in class. I got it. As he was saying this in the whole statement, he said, it's a good lecture. Everyone focused on the statement. The correlation is all of this. Ha! Jump up. He said, what's scared? Oh, shit. Not to get us approval, but to avoid his disapproval. When we were coming up, we had a thing called juries. They still do juries. Juries is when all the department heads give you a piece to work on, and they sit there and they make you perform the piece, and the criticism is brutal. We were kids. We didn't understand that they were preparing us for a hard world ahead. If you wanted a profession in art, they would tear us shreds. It's the stress of a jury, and then I never passed. I didn't want to act. For improv class, I stopped going funny Jesus. Trying to stretch myself at least. And then he had more in me than comedy. And the time I took against that. So because she said that, after school that very night, I was at the comedy club. The first time I signed a list and I waited and I got on like that. Killed it. Must have been 35 years ago. That night, I killed it. I'd show up with the Yeah, no, it all works. It all works. I'm one of the lucky ones. It doesn't work out that well for everybody. I saw that videotape of that lady that got beat up in L.A. in the traffic. You see that shit on rush hour traffic? They beat a black woman's ass. This woman didn't even do anything wrong. It's fucked up. It was so fucked up it didn't even go to court. The city of L.A. just gave that woman $1.5 million for her pain and suffering. That is not bad, considering that's the same amount of money that Marcos Maidana made to fight Floyd Mayweather the second time. And this woman obviously hasn't trained a day in her life. You can see it on the tape. She didn't come to fight. Her guards were low. She was taking a lot of shots. Everybody's mad at police now. I watch that. You see that shit on Netflix? The making a murderer. The Stephen Avery story? Yeah, well, if you haven't seen it, check it out. Stephen Avery is in more trouble than any white person in the history of the United States has ever been in. In a justice system designed for him to thrive, he's failed miserably twice. I can't even wrap my mind around it. If Making a Murderer was about a black dude, that shit would be called Duh. Of course everything can go wrong. Seems like he did it all right. The motherfucker even had $200,000 for his legal defense. That should get you off in Wisconsin. That's like OJ money. All he needed to get off that he didn't have was a single black juror. That's all it would have took. Because only a black dude in the United States can look at 11 other dudes and be like, I think the police did this shit. He's fucked up in the game. That's how OJ got off. I've been watching the new OJ show. I can't get enough of that shit. Doesn't it bring back good memories? But I forgot how like just how polarizing that OJ case was. And you know, I've met OJ Simpson on 4 different occasions in my life. And before the end of the show, I will tell you about each of those occasions. The first time I met O.J. Simpson, I was in Santa Monica. Santa Monica? Yeah. I can't believe a black dude was like, Santa Monica. He was the last niggas I expected to say that. I see your shoes. You got some Vans on, nigga? What you got? Santa Monica! At the time, I was 18. I had done a show, and then a guy from the club came up and was like, hey, O.J. Simpson's here, and he said he wants to meet you. I said, what? Fuck yeah. I ran down the steps, and O.J. was down there. He's like, hey, yo, man, how are you? It's very good to meet you. And you're doing really good work, and I hope good things happen for you in your life. I was like, man, thanks, Mr. Juice. Standing beside him, well, I don't know the nice way to say this, his soon-to-be slain wife. Ladies and gentlemen, man the fuck up or you're not gonna make it through the end of this show. Just man the fuck up. She's dead, you already know, you know what happened. You don't know who did it, but we know what happened. I should tell you that woman was very nice to me. She actually embraced me. She said, I think you're adorable. And she hugged me. She goes, good luck to you. And she held me for a long time. And I whispered in her ear, bitch, are you trying to get us both killed? I'm just kidding, I didn't say that. But that was the first time in a nutshell. The second time I met O.J. Simpson. It was right after the trial of the century. There I was, now a young man of probably 23. O.J. Simpson was the most famous or infamous face on planet Earth. I was in a restaurant in Beverly Hills with my agents. I wasn't alone in the restaurant, but I was alone. I was the only black person in the restaurant. And in the 90s, that felt very uncomfortable. Now I tend to enjoy it at this age. I was having dinner with my agent, celebrating a deal that they told me was lucrative, but I later learned fucking sucked. And suddenly, a group of women walked by. Every race was in that group. Black, white, Asian, Latina, white, and white again. They were all gorgeous. I watched them walk by. Then, I saw a familiar face. Al Collins, the man from the infamous Bronco chase, walked by and embraced one of the women, and they walked towards the door. Couldn't believe what I saw. And then, close behind him, was O.J. Simpson, newly released from jail. The restaurant fell still. I was shocked. I didn't mean to say it out loud, but it just came out. O.J. He stopped, turned around to see who said it, saw my black face, and correctly assumed it was me. I was sitting in the corner of the booth. He leaned over all the white people I was having dinner with and shook my hand. How are you, young man? He looked in my eyes, and I could see in his eyes that he didn't remember meeting me the first time. And then he walked away. And I looked back at my agents, and all of them had nothing short of disgust on their faces. And the only one with the courage to voice their disgust was a woman named Sharon, who used to represent me. How could you, she said. How could you shake hands with that murderer? I said, Sharon, with all due respect, that murderer ran for over 11,000 yards. And he was acquitted, so, fuck it. Glove didn't fit. Glove didn't fit. Get over yourself. Some people can't do that. Some people just can't get over themselves. Gay people have a hard time doing that recently. Here we go. Here comes the deep water. No, recently I've noticed that. I noticed that with that Manny Pacquiao controversy. Yeah, no, it was now in the gay community's defense. Manny Pacquiao said some outlandish shit about gay people. Very, very not nice things that I won't repeat, but there was biblical verses and some analogies to animals. Wasn't a good look. Nike took his shoes immediately, which I thought was a little harsh. A little harsh. You know what I mean? Because just because he's Asian. You know what I mean? Fuck, you gonna take shoes off an Asian dude to appease a gay dude? You know what I mean? No? You don't know what I mean. But Asian people kind of know what I mean. No? No Asians in the front? No? No, this is what I mean. Okay, look. Okay, you're an Asian dude. No, I say this with no disrespect, but we're all Americans, right? Not only did the public embrace him, but the media was nice. I'd never seen anything like it. Welcome to the world, Caitlin. So long, Bruce. Hello, Caitlin. I was shocked. Is this happening? Wait a minute. Is this a time in American history when America can make a decision for themselves? And even though other Americans don't understand it, they'll support it and let this person live a happy life? Is this what's happening? If it is, then good for America. That's Dave Chappelle, the American. Although Dave Chappelle, the black American, he was a little jealous. I was like, how the fuck are transgender people beating black people in the discrimination Olympics? If the police shot half as many transgenders as they did niggas last year, it'd be a fucking war in LA. I know black dudes in Brooklyn, hard street motherfuckers that wear high heels just to feel safe. Transgenders are gangsters. I used to do business with a transgender in Hollywood. Man, everybody would be scared of her in the boardroom. She'd walk in there, newly minted woman, high heels, purse. Wouldn't say anything to her, just walk around the conference table looking mean as shit. And then she walked to the head of the conference table, stare at us all. Reach in her purse and pull her old dick out and throw it on the table. Let's talk business, gentlemen. Ah! Shit is scary as fuck. If your best friend pitched that to you, you'd be horrified. Yo, nigga, let's go to the hospital and cut our dicks off and make pussies out of them shits. What? Can't we just get matching jackets or tattoos or something? Sure, that's what you want to do? There's only one way to find out, nigga. Wu-Tang! Bow! Bow! Let's go to the club and trick niggas into fucking us, yeah. Third time I met O.J. Simpson. Third time I met O.J. Simpson, I was doing great in life. I just finished the second season of Chappelle Show. Man, those were good days. I was playing a comedy club in Miami, the Improv. I don't know if you've ever been, but if you have, you know. The door for the green room is right on the stage. Can you imagine such a thing? If I walked out of the door of the green room, bam, I'm just right here. It's right from the dressing room. And I did that. I walked out, and the whole crowd was like, hooray! And I looked, ma'am, as close as you are to me, I saw him as soon as I came out, the juice. And I saw recognition in his eyes, and it filled me with pride that he knew who I was. I didn't acknowledge his presence because it was a white audience, and I didn't want to start a panic. But I did my show. Show went great. I said, good night, everyone. They all said, yay! And I didn't say nothing to OJ, but I just gave him the signal, let him know I knew he was there. And I walked into the green room, and OJ was already in there. I was like, how the fuck is this possible? I was scared. Then my friends came in, and we all started talking. We sat down on the couch. And I'm just telling you what I saw with my own eyes. You can believe me or not believe me. But in my experience, O.J. Simpson, one of the nicest men I've ever met. He was nice to me. He was nice to my friends. The conversation was filled with warmth and levity, humor, and wisdom. We talked for 90 minutes, and then suddenly the Jew said, you know what? I've got to be going. But it's good to see you again. And I'm glad things went so well. I said, thanks, Juice. And my friend said, yeah, goodbye, Mr. Juice. They're new to the game. He said, no, thank you for your hospitality. Good night, guys. And we said, good night. And he just walked out of the room. And as soon as the door closed, we all looked at each other like, that nigga did that shit. I could feel like murder in the room. let's not forget, I've never met Bill Cosby, so I'm not defending him. But let's just remember that he has a valuable legacy that I can't just throw away. I remember that he's the first black man to ever win an Emmy in television. I also remember that he's the first guy to make a cartoon with black characters where their lips and noses were drawn proportionally. I remember that he had a television show that got numbers equivalent to the Super Bowl every Thursday night. And I remember that he partnered up with a clinical psychologist to make sure that there was not one negative image of African Americans on his show. I'm telling you, this is no small thing. I've had a television show. I wouldn't have done that shit. Gave tens of millions of dollars to African American institutions of higher learning, and is directly responsible for thousands of black kids going to college, not just the ones he raped. Here comes the kicker. You ready? Here's the fact that I heard but haven't confirmed. I heard that when Martin Luther King stood on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial and said he had a dream, he was speaking into a PA system that Bill Cosby paid for. Do you understand what I'm saying? The point is this. He rapes, but he saves. And he saves more than he rapes, but he probably does rape. Thank you very much. Good night. I forgot. The fourth time I met O.J. Simpson. The fourth time is not the funniest time, but it was the last time I'd see the juice. For some reason, I was at the Kentucky Derby. It's a very long story. This is right after I quit Chappelle's show in spectacular fashion. There was a party hosted by Michael Jordan, and every athlete I'd ever admired was in that room. Yes. And then I saw a familiar face by the bar, standing there, drinking alone. It was Chris Tucker. Now, you have to remember, at this time, we were both technically missing. And we went over and were talking with one another, and motherfuckers were amazed to see us together. Seeing me and Chris Tucker at that point would be like seeing Bigfoot riding a unicorn. You wouldn't believe that's what you were saying. And then, through all the gawkers, a familiar face pushed through the crowd. Here he was again. The juice. He had his camera ready. He was like, Dave, Chris, good to see you guys. Hey, come on, guys. Let's all get together for a picture. And at the same time, me and Chris were like, no. Sorry, Juice, my career's too flimsy to survive a picture with you. That's the end.